Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. Just want to start with a go fuck yourself to all the people committing substantial ongoing crime. My name is Brad, I am your host. I have a right to my writings and my discoveries. Article 1, Section 8, Subsection 8 grants me my right to progress science with my writings and my discoveries. Clearly I fucking can't. Clearly rhythm is a thing. And so, just wanted to point out to all those people again breaking international law, facilitating war, death, and suffering all over this planet. You do realize that once you die, the instant that you die, you can't deny any of this shit. Like literally nothing. All of your bullshit's right there, your meat suit's gone, and you're just sitting there responsible for all of your fucking actions. So each day that goes by, you continue to facilitate death and suffering for every single human being and every other sentient being on this planet by not changing your behavior. Enforce the law, publish my paper, acknowledge scientific proof. This is a proof. And there's at different points we've proven different things. But it is all one centralized proof. So picking back up with censerality, just wanted to point out again the legals, because how much death and suffering has been caused by the denial of scientific progress by the people that are claiming to be scientists. Sabine Hasenfelter, Brian Keating, Sean Carroll, Ed Witten, David Eisenbud, if he's still alive. It's just like George Smoot. George Smoot III, he passed away. If you're in the physics community at all, I'm sure you know about him. If you're not in the physics community, I'm sure you have no fucking clue who that is. But George Smoot is right here with us all, guys. And now he just can't deny. He can't hide behind a computer and say, all of Brad's science isn't real, even though it's like, at this point, it's like everything. What do we do? And so, you guys are not the good people. You're on the wrong side of history. And each day that you wake up on this planet, you have the ability to speak the truth. And you choose not to. Profoundly disgusting, completely illegal, and it facilitates death and suffering. Because most of the professors, aren't you guys kind of like liberals? We're over here dyeing our hair blue. Why don't we just open our fucking fat flabby mouths and tell the truth? Anyway, on to the science. Because again, I am truly, that's not me being arrogant, I am the only working physicist. I am the only single fucking person with enough provably with enough logic and mathematical development to address the open problems in physics, which there aren't any. We've proven them. I'm just reproving them. Okie dokie. But the opposite of sent is to received. So now I had some intuition, which wasn't a proof, but it was enough to be interesting. Again, with this uniqueness of language, and we just covered that Language Jones guy when he's pointing out, re-back, and there's like pairings for like prefix to base word or suffix to base word. Again, these pairings, I haven't articulated them, but they're there. How many of them are there? What are the relationships? So on and so forth. And so can we pair certain words to certain prepositions is like the big kind of thing I have. So the thought that I have was, right, send versus sent. Right, if I send something, it's like, and if I send, it's to, but if I sent, it's from. It's kind of my intuition of what I wanted to say as a proof, but then I could say, right, I sent it to, like in the past tense. And if I sent it to, that makes complete sense, something I would say naturally without even thinking of it. No cameras, no math. I sent it to Johnny. Makes complete sense. So it's not consistent enough, it's not a complete proof, right? And all proof is complete. So send, I wanted to say send is to and then sent is from, but if I sent it to Johnny, it's just the past tense. But again, remember I'm playing with the send is to present, present, and sent is to past. Trying to make more development on that statement. But send to, sent from. Sending, receiving, sensationality receives. Right? Your censerality is filtering input. We have input, output. What is put? If it's put off, it's put. I put my book on the table. Right, so again, put is another one of these weird words where it's like is it a preposition? Is it a verb? What is putality? But sensationality receives. Censerality is receptionality. Perception, reception. Now we have, right, creation and recreation. Another one of these dichotomistic pairs that's interesting, right? Censerality, it's not, I don't have it might look like recreate, but I'm writing it as recreate. Censerality recreates. Socialization is recreation. When you interact with other people of your species, you're recreating. Tracing highlights, again, highlighting outlines. So last time we talked about, over the line, tracing as an outline, and then go over the line, we cross a boundary, and a outline is a boundary. So I put it up on the screen, but what is a diagonal, right? If I have a trace and a matrix, it's the diagonal. But so how do we go from trace to mean diagonal? And this is strictly in mathematical ontology. And then I have highlighting outlines, but I'm even like, does highlighting really outline? Like I'm literally sitting here looking at my highlighted theorems myself, and it's more like embossing, right? If you've ever had Photoshop, that's the fix all button to make your shit look cool for graphic design. The embevel emboss function on Adobe Photoshop. But it doesn't really matter. Point being is, why do we call a diagonal of a matrix a trace? And so, furthermore, right, diagonal, right, what is diagonal? Right, how do, like, geometrically, what establishes a diagonal? Right, if we're starting from one vertex to another vertex, that is a diagonal. A hypotenuse is a diagonal. A hypotenuse is a trace. That's like 14 Fields medals. But now we even have again, none of these results are the big result. We're still not there yet. I don't even know when it's gonna come, if it's gonna come, if I'm gonna be alive, who knows. But anyway, we have another interesting thing. What is diagonality? Gonality. But that's not even the point. Matrix, right, if I have one matrix, you know, a 3x3 matrix, 3 elements, 3 rows, 3 columns. You can put in numbers if you want. Functions, tensors, doesn't matter, you have fun with it, Johnny. But linguistically, right, if I have a matrix that's singular, then if I have matrices, that's plural. So what is a matrice? Just one matrice. What's going on there? Right, we have a matrix, that's one. Matrices is matrix plural. So what is a matrice? Matrice, just one. Something's going on there. We've identified something. But I even have little stars in my notebook. How cute. But what's the difference between a matrix and a matrice? Matrices is plural. Matrice is a matrix. Science. I'm going to put it on the screen. Censerality is sensity. But see, what I'm showing to you and highlighting really is that these are gaps. Right? These are knowledge gaps in our mass gap. Because right, I'm a person with mass. Sean Carroll's a huge faggot, but he's a physicist with mass, and he's thinking that's a gap in our mass. But it's a gap in our knowledge. Censerality is sensity. Sensity, density. Censerality is sensitality. Remember before we derived citality? Now it's sensitality. We're just deriving again, logically exhausting this word family. Censerality is sensitationality. Sensitation, sanitation, situation. Censerality is situationality. Situation is a discrepancy, right? If somebody has a situation, they're not saying, right, they're clearly indicating something's not going well. Something's not going to plan. There's a predicament. There's tension present. We have a situation over here, Johnny. We got our ops coming in from 69 clicks out. We're gonna have a little situation. All right. But what is a situation? A situation is a discrepancy. Situation is circumstantial. Censerality is modern. Modernality, mode. Again, just connecting, might seem like I'm jumping over, but I'm just building out this word family. And these are the things that come to me as they come to me. Relativity is circumstantial, right? General relativity. Circumstantiality, substantiality, substantial, circumstantial. Relativity is circumstantiality. Yep, just did that one. Connection relates. Relation correlates, right? Because here in dimensionless analysis, which generalizes dimensional analysis, we don't have equality because everything is fundamentally unique. If I have an assembly line of pens being made with every resource in the world, I still can't create the same exact pen, right? Mass occupies space. But relation correlates. So what is the relationship of correlation and causation? And obviously another fundamental dichotomistic pair that you've heard and you've seen and people have talked about, and now we can explain why, or can we? Correlation, because remember, nothing is random, everything is connected, but everything is connected, so everything is correlated. And so causation is just a correlation that's strong enough to be influential, right? If I'm sitting here and the wind blows on me, and I fall over, right? The wind blowing on me didn't cause me to fall over. It applied some force, right? It was correlated, but it wasn't, right? It's coincidental. Correlation produces coincidence. Correlation produces serendipity, or serendipity produces correlation, probably. But causation, everything's correlated, and correlation at a certain degree of influence is causation. Tense, pretense. What is a pretense? We got off on the wrong foot. Different pretenses. Not prerequisites is the word I went to, but a pretense. On different. We get off on the bad foot. We have different pretenses. I don't know. I'm blanking. It was just like my parents asked me the other day. They play Scrabble, and I walked in. They're like, "How would you spell squeak?" And because what I'm demonstrating is I'm deriving spelling, like of each of these individual words I'm using. And at the end of this proof, you feel like you know fucking nothing. So my parents asked me how to spell squeak, and I'm just like blank. Like I'm just like lost. Like what is that? So I went with S-Q-E-E-K, which then my mom was like S-Q-U-E-A-K. I was like, obviously. But it's so weird because I'm actually at the point of my proofing where I'm deriving what spelling is. And each word is spelled differently, but then again, what is a word? On the other episode, I'm talking really fast or really slow. What defines the boundary of a word? Because again, remember, I've already proven that words are irreducible, that there is this structure that has empirical meaning, and if you reduce it anymore, it loses that meaning. That is what a word is. But then there's syllables, and so they have empirical meaning. So if they line up correctly, then it becomes solidified or stabilized. But that's what we're doing. But it's just so funny to say like squeak, and I'm just like, what in the fuck is this word? Because like I said, we're behind the letters, man. We are deriving the actual spelling of these different things. But what is a pretense? It's another one. Pretension, pretense. I don't know. But what is a pretense? Medium is mid, right? We had medium is middle. We've proven that extensively a month or two ago or whenever. But then is humidity is mid, right? So then is humidity mediumality, right? But again, there is no medium, right? When you're at a concert and it's all really hot, there's just a lot of things bumping up against you, right? Puvnert. We can't forget about our thermodynamic laws. PV equals nRT. It's a classic. But pressure, right? If something's bumping up into you, it's applying pressure, it increases your temperature. But the temperature isn't moving through anything. It's just more shit bumping up against you, right? When I'm getting hotter in the sun is vibrating. That vibration is causing the air molecules in the atmosphere to vibrate. And so it's more molecules are touching me on this side of my body as opposed to my back. That's why my face is getting warmer and my back is not. But it's the actual physical contact, the connection. It doesn't actually touch, but it's contacted, right? Contact is not touch. Working all this shit out at once. But medium is mid. I don't know, it just is. So now we can make some sweeping generalizations. Again, proofs, reductions. These are proving things. Anything that ends in or will generalize to orality, right? We have this generalizing prefix. We just stuff ality. It's some sort of iteration of, or ability is some sort of iteration of ality with a bi in it. But anything that ends in or, naturally, I mean, it doesn't take much to convince you or to demonstrate, but if you generalize that, it will produce that base word orality, right? Censerality. So anything that ends in an or, a tutor, right? A tutorality, right? Like a person that helps you with your school, a professor, professorality, right? So anything that has that or at the end will generalize to orality. Boom, done. And remember, because before we talked about or indicating a person versus ER versus indicating something that's not a person, and we hadn't proven that. Guess what? Now we have. Because if you add that ality to anything that ends in OR, you get orality. And orality is inherent to sentient beings, to vocalization. That rock is not going to give me oral, but your bitch might. So write that down. That was a really important one. And I hate calling women bitches, but it just doesn't, you just have to say bitch sometimes. But anyway. So that is a massive, massive reduction, but that proves that if it ends in OR, it's exclusive to sentient life. Fucking Christ, go somewhere else. There's no place on this planet to do scientific research. And so from there, we can make some linguistical proofs, huge reductions here. All right, so this will all be put on the screen. If you're just listening, I'll spell it out for you. Censors do not exist, and that's S-E-N-S-E-R-S. Because now that ER is proven, 5 seconds ago, exclusive to inanimate objects, to censerality with a C. So SENSERS do not exist. Censors, which is identified as censorship, CENSORS, does not exist, right? Because it's the wrong pairing. Because if you're making a choice, that's censorship with an S, and the I censor contracts to is. And then existence is, again, is just a packaging of is. Literally, you can just see it right in there. X is T. But censors, CENSER, exists. And censors, SENSORS, exists. So there, right there, that step right there, the censor, SENSOR, is any choice. What people have identified and spelled as CENSOR, Piers Morgan uncensored. That is spelled wrong and it's proven, it's done. It will never change. Go fuck yourself, Piers Morgan. But what it has done linguistically is given us our form of solution. Like I said, I conjectured it. We're solving censerality with a C, but we spelled it wrong, and now we have the right spelling. What is censerality? CENSERALITY. And effectively, intuitively, it's whatever sensation degrades to for inanimate objects. Not done yet. Again, this is not a complete proof. There will be no questions once we're completely done. But again, we can still see it's still based on being, right? Ser in Spanish, censerality, right? So then we have again that estar or estar versus ser, but ser being is now the base of censerality. It just is. And so again, all of these words, because it's all general. All of these words are based on other things. And like we have cien as efficiency, and censer as, again, I don't really know what to make of it, but that's what's going on. Again, the languages are not distinct. It's the syllability. And so again, it has to be this unique one-way definition or axiomatizing theorem of censerality is unique amongst all languages. But we have our linguistical element, and it'll be on the screen if you're just listening. But what is the difference between being and existing? Right? I'm a human being. I'm not a human existing. And conversely, if you're having a shitty life like I am, I'm just existing. I'm not living, I'm existing. It's a difference people have already made intuitively. And it's true, right? We've made it linguistically in Spanish, estar versus ser, being versus temporarily being, but who you are, your identity is to ser. But what is the difference between being and existing? Censerality with an S, bees. It do be like that. And existing is censerality with a C. And it's spelled in that new way. Censerality is existence. So that is what I have for you today. Massive progress. Again, every video is massive progress. But again, my life is destroyed. I absolutely fucking hate doing this. I am being held against my will. My rights are violated. I keep saying that, but I'm just a human being that's existed out here in this world, and the world's been said, no, go fuck yourself. I hate every single day of my life. There was nothing wrong with me. I've been scapegoated. My reputation has been slandered and destroyed to a point where I can't exist, like simply just exist. Not even like interact, not have a personality without people saying, go fuck yourself, you're mentally ill. And you guys, all you do are fat, overweight, and play sports. So again, continue to break every law that's ever been fucking written. Make whatever excuse you want to behind closed doors. But just know, the instant that your soul, whatever you want to say, leaves your body, you won't be able to deny any of this shit. And you'll just be sitting there in eternity with the only thing you can do is take responsibility for your actions. And so it's disgusting. You have a moral and legal obligation to whoever watches this to do something. And you're pussies and you're cowards for not doing anything. And you're criminals. And you're lower than dirt. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.